Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close. And as they close, take another deep breath in, breathing in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just releasing any tension. And as you slow your breath and deepen your breath, you're breathing more resources in and exhaling more stress and tension. Meaning that just by breathing in and breathing out, just imagine you're traveling to a place within your imagination where change takes place. I want you to notice what you notice around you, the temperature, any ambient sounds. Every place has background noise, even if it's just the absence of noise. And I want you to struggle to try and focus on the speed of your breathing, the sounds around you, the sound of my voice, and an incremental feeling of calm and relaxation, taking you to a place of profound, powerful change. I want you to get a sense that as we go through life, we collect things, wisdom, experiences, moments that we'll treasure forever. But every now and then things happen that are unpleasant. I want you to consider these things that we collect in our life that don't serve us, that hold us back. It's like imaginary monsters. There was a time before the monster that there was freedom. And then after the monster, things get restricted. And I want you to get a sense that things don't need to be real in order for people to fear them. Throughout history, cultures and societies have created fictitious monsters to control the population. And if it can work for an entire population, a fictitious monster can work on an individual. But I want you to imagine you are becoming the knight in shining armor, with a magnificent sword, on a quest to slay a monster that has been terrorizing, limiting, instilling fear, questioning your own abilities. And we're going to go on a journey to slay, to annihilate, to vanquish the monster. Because for a long time you were living without this fictitious monster. I want you to think all the way back. Maybe you were a teenager, maybe your early 20s. The wonderful feeling you had when driving. Having those keys. Having a sense that you've got money in the pocket. Place to be. You're on that open road. And feel how good it feels to enjoy the freedom of driving. Just imagine the music blaring from those speakers. Maybe you're driving solo, or maybe there's other people in the car, but there is a feeling of when you're young, a car is a superpower. You felt that significance, that freedom, that ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it, just because you felt like it. And reconnect with that wonderful feeling and realize that your focus was on the opportunity, the freedom, the destination, the snacks. And I want you to get a sense that this is what driving really is. Where focus goes, energy flows. And back then, remember what you were focused on. And when that's why, that's what your energy was. And then I want you to think of a time that a change took place. Perhaps you can imagine being on a plane that was not in the sky. And I want you to imagine being on that plane and it looks so realistic, but with new knowledge, new perspectives, an evaluation that your resources exceed any potential risks, enabled you to change fear into confidence. And all that was happening back then is you were replacing useless evaluations for useful evaluations. And you've done that many times in your life, and if you can do that with flying, and you've already got evidence that driving is fun and freedom, then all that remains is a tiny imaginary monster. And I want you to think about where that monster was created. But this time I want you to see from a different perspective. I want you to imagine that you are observing you driving. Maybe there was fog, maybe on a motorway. You're not in your body, you're observing you, there behind the wheel. You can imagine perhaps you're a flying camera by the side of the car looking at you through the window. Maybe you can imagine one of those advanced drones with the cameras, able to change perspective, fly above, by the side, all different angles. I want you to see that it was foggy. Weather wasn't great. And I want you to see you driving perhaps in between two big vehicles, maybe trucks or lorries. And I want you to see that something shifted. Maybe body temperature, maybe physiologically, maybe your breathing shifted. But I want you to get a sense that a moment where you made a false evaluation, the evaluation was that you can't handle this situation and you need to retreat, led to an imaginary monster that you've been carrying with you from that day onwards. Like Pinocchio's Jiminy cricket, but in monster form, telling you can't drive, you don't like it, you can't handle the motorways. What if you feel that anxiety? And I want you to get a sense that all of this was built on a false evaluation. And I want you to imagine rewinding that moment. The moment of driving in between those vehicles and then retreating. I want you to imagine rewinding it before it happened, but seeing the version of you ultra confident. I want you to see the version of you that treated that moment as excitement. That when those two lorries or trucks either side closed in, I want you to feel like an action hero, like Maverick in Top Gun, perhaps a movie star in a car chase. And I want you to observe that version of you still from the perspective of that drone. It's foggy. That adds to the tension. Maybe the weather isn't great. Maybe visibility is poor. You're sandwiched between those two vehicles, and I want you to see a huge smile on your face. And then I want you to see that almost you're relishing this moment. This is what it's all about. You could stay there forever if you wanted. And then when there's an opportunity, see that version of you pressing that accelerator, coming out through the other end. In that moment, you're Moses coming out through the Dead Sea, that separation, dry land. And I want you to get a sense that you're now even more confident a driver because of what you went through. I want you to now change perspective. If you're confident that that version of you confidently handled that situation, rewind it again, feel like you're in body, but tap into that feeling of confidence. You are a knight. You're an action hero. And you are seconds away from vanquishing a monster. So imagine you're back in that car behind the wheel, feeling unshakable confidence. You're in a dialogue. It's playful. You see the lorries or the trucks, and the inner dialogue is just, ooh, this is going to be fun. You feel how good it feels to be sandwiched between those two much larger vehicles. And no claustrophobia. This is what grows your confidence. A knight in armor can't be a knight unless they've faced adversity again and again. An action hero can't be an action hero unless they have enemies to overcome, challenges to get through. So I want you to look at these lorries, these trucks either side of you, to feel almost like they're closing in on you. And then you smile even bigger than you were before. And then just accelerate and feel like you're coming out the other end. Seeing them in your rearview mirror. And at this moment, at this point, has vanquished a little demon, a monster that's been haunting you for years. And from this point forward, there's nothing on the road that can scare you or intimidate you. From this point forward, you don't want adversity on the road, but if it's there, you'll deal with it. Bring it on. You're ready. You can handle it. And I want you to feel this unshakable confidence. And then imagine up ahead, there's a fleet. So maybe it's a 3 or a 4 lane motorway. Huge, ridiculously large vehicles on either side, almost like a convoy. And then there's just this gap in between. And I want you to feel how you would feel if that's desirable because it looks like that. Just feel like you're going through, almost like you're Mad Max, surrounded by enemies on either side. Bring it on. Come out the other end, you feel rock solid confidence. Up ahead, I want you to see the motorway is just open air. There's a road, but it's just landscape for miles. But your peripheral vision narrows. You are focused on the next car ahead, or if no car is ahead, imagining a car just up there on the horizon. That is your focus. And when you focus on that, everything else is just background. And you feel safe, you feel secure, you feel perhaps you vanquished another imaginary monster. And I want you to imagine it's a future trip. I want you to imagine seeing yourself. Big open roads, freeways, motorways. And just see that in the future you can only see yourself with a facial expression that reminds you of you in your 20s, enjoying the music, enjoying the freedom of the road. That every time you're behind the steering wheel, you're reconnecting with the driver of your youth. Freedom, empowerment, fun. And if you can see that future version of you enjoying driving, no matter what the weather conditions of the vehicles, let me know by nodding your head. And just accept that that is your future, because it is. Breathe in and breathe out, and then feel like you're returning to the present, but taking a new perspective with you. Driving is something you've done forever. The monsters of the past have been slain. The driving is fun, is freedom, and that challenge makes it more exciting. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, returning to the present as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.